Thanks for joining us on the John Mendola Show. We are driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers. Let's talk ESU soccer. Well, let's first talk about the men's team. Joining us is the head coach, Rob Berkowitz. So, Rob, let's talk about men's soccer at East Stroudsburg University for 2014.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited. We open up on Saturday out in West Virginia against Shepherd University. A very young team. We'll start either 5 or 6 freshmen. So we have a lot of good young talent. We're just looking forward to Saturday to see where we're at.
Well, Rob, when you talk about East Stroudsburg University, it's been a few years since you guys were able to hit the postseason tournament. Let's talk about trying to get back.
Finally feel like as a staff we've gotten our guys in, kind of changed some things from a mentality standpoint. And we finally we're comfortable with the group that we have, really talented, but also just a really good group of young men. And that probably has us as excited as the ability is just the character of the group right now. Really, it's really been fun to work with them.
Well, when you talk about getting that experience in there, and you mentioned a whole lot of freshman talent there at East Stroudsburg University, what's the PSAC going to be like when you take on some of those teams?
Talented and tough as ever. A lot of new coaches over the last few years that have kind of upped the bar, and it's a mix of the Mercyhurst and the Slippery Rocks with a lot of international talent, and then the Westchesters and Bloomsburgs and the Millersvilles, a lot of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland talent. So it's going to be as difficult as ever. We've sent on the men's side 2 of the last 3 years a team to the Final Four. Last year, Mercyhurst lost in the Elite Eight to the team Southern New Hampshire, who ended up winning national championship. So regionally and nationally, the men's side of the PSAC is doing very well. So it's going to be a difficult test for us getting through the grind of that. But we open up with 4 non-conference games in a row, and then we travel out to Gannon and Mercyhurst to open up against maybe the 2 most talented teams that will play. So we're excited, but we'll just focus on Saturday right now.
Well, you got some home games that'll be coming up end of September, which will be Bloomsburg. I know they brought in a whole lot of freshmen as well.
They did. They're kind of a similar situation to us in a way that they're going to look a lot different than they did last year. They've competed to get in the conference tournament the last couple years. So it'll be interesting to see how their young players respond. I know most of the guys, and they brought a talented group in as well, like we did. So that'll be, it seems very far away, but I think we're 3 weeks from today, we'll play them. So it's a while away, and I'm sure with the experience that all guys get early and their guys get early, it will look a lot different in a few weeks than we do on Saturday.
Rob Berkowitz, East Stroudsburg University, joining us here on the John Mendola Show. Well, Rob, you got a double duty. Not only do you coach the men's team, but the women's team as well. Let's switch gears and talk about the women's team this year at East Stroudsburg University.
Sure. We're kind of a different situation from the men. Definitely more established in terms of what we have returning. We return 8, or depending on some injuries last year, either 8 or 9 starters. The problem with that is we lost our goalkeeper, who was a 3-time All-Conference kid and a 4-time All-Conference center back. So I think everywhere else we're as talented, if not more talented and experienced, but in soccer, 2 of the vital areas are center back and goalkeeper. And we'll start a freshman in goal. And then we've moved our outside back to center back, a kid who started 3 years for us to center back, and then we'll start a freshman at right back. So there's a little bit of uncertainty, but I feel like right now we've played 3 scrimmages and things have gotten better with each one. So the women, I think, are a little bit more, experienced all over the field with minus those 2 spots. So I would expect they'll do well again.
Rob, when you talk about the PSAC for the women, as far as competition-wise, how much different is it than the men's side? What do you get out of a PSAC women's player?
I think it's similar in the way that there's a blend or mix of international kids on the women's side in the PSAC. Slippery Rock on the women's side, very talented with numerous international players. Cal PA, who's been one of the dominant teams in the league the last 4 or 5 years. They're a bunch of Canadian kids and some other international players. And then the Kutztown women's team, Westchester women's team, also very successful programs, but they've done it a little bit differently with New York and New Jersey talent and obviously Pennsylvania talent. So it's similar to the men's side where there's a blend of some teams with some international flavor, and then they're successful, and then some other teams that have done very well with Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York talent.
Rob Berkowitz, East Stroudsburg University men and women's coach. We're talking now about the ladies there, the Warriors hitting the field. Coach, how about the recruiting class that you're bringing in this year for the ESU ladies?
A very, very talented group. We'll start 3 freshmen, including our goalkeeper. What I think they've done is added depth to the roster and pushed some of the returning kids. Like I said, on the women's side, we returned either 8 or 9 starters, depending on the game last year. So for the freshmen, unless they really came in and did a fantastic job right away and didn't struggle with the transition at all, it was hard for them to crack the first 11. We have a kid in the central midfield who took the starting spot of a returning player, and that's just shows us that we're bringing the right type of kids in who can compete right away. But it was definitely, we're very happy with the class. We'll probably have 7 or 8 kids that contribute, and depending on the game, at least three of the freshmen will start. So it was a good class.
Rob, you sound like I don't know how you're going to make time for yourself there with coaching the men and the women. Extremely busy schedule, but I'm sure it's a whole lot of fun there at ESU anyway.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's especially with the men's side of things, we're a really coachable group, willing to learn, willing to sacrifice for what's best for the team, and obviously they had long days for myself, the staffs of both programs. But when you're around kids that want to improve, want to develop, are trying to get better every day, it makes it fun. It's a job, but when we come out to the field, everybody on the women's staff and the men's staff in both teams, it doesn't feel like a job. The other part of it, kind of the administrative side of it, sometimes that gets a little bit hectic in the office. But once we're out on the field, it's a pleasure working with both teams. So it's really not bad.
Well, I look forward to seeing how the Warriors do this year for the men and the women at East Stroudsburg University. Rob Berkowitz, we thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, John.
East Stroudsburg University Warriors soccer teams here on the John Mendola Show. We are driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers.